Hey there, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of November 3rd. This week, you start with this travel card. Of course you do. It says, you're attracting positive movement or travel that will bring your desires to fruition. You have this Temple of the Soul. It says you're on a karmic path, so you can unravel the mysteries of your karmic debts. You are a Sag, so you always get these travel cards, of course, and that's, I guess, what Sagittarius does, even if you don't go anywhere. You can travel in your brain, right, Sagittarius? So that might be what's going on here. I feel like you're, understanding why things have happened in your life or exactly why you had to experience some, karmic situations. It's almost as if you're finally getting the answers as to why you had to learn something. And here you go. You have the Hermit. The Hermit is about having been through a dark night of the soul, but he has earned something for going on this journey. He has earned finding his inner light right here. So I do feel a lot of you could finally be seeing why you had to go through something, or why you went through something, or why you had to deal with something. And it's like you're getting the answers, which is great. You start here with the Emperor, the Queen of Swords, and the Page of Wands in the area of your current general energies. The Emperor is about taking the lead and taking control, which is what I think Sagittarius is definitely going to be doing, probably after this retrograde. Again, you'll be working on this right now, but I think really the rubber probably meets the road, so to speak, next month, or basically after the end of the month is when you're really going to start taking off. I don't really ever say this, but he's holding on to this Ankh right here, and the Ankh can be a symbol of rebirth, and, I do feel that for some reason, where it's like something, this could be like your karmic destiny or something like that here, Sagittarius, where something that you think is part of your destiny or your purpose or your path, whatever you want to call it, it's almost like it's being reborn. Makes sense having a retrograde in your sign, that something about you could be rebirthed, or you could be revisiting something that you want to rebirth in your life, and it feels like more closely tied to your purpose or your destiny, whatever you want to call it. You have the Queen of Swords. Again, you could be getting answers. A lot of people seem to be getting answers. Again, this retrograde seems like one of those retrogrades that will bring us answers. Usually retrogrades do. I think retrogrades get a bad rap in the astrology, especially Mercury retrograde. Again, Mercury retrograde is great for getting answers, looking into things, doing your research, getting answers for things that happened in the past, or, anything you've been trying to figure out that you haven't been able to figure out. You could definitely be getting answers there as well. But she has clouds halfway up her body. And again, I do think it's interesting that this retrograde specifically, in all the readings I've done, there's been a major focus on clarity, meaning, I think this could be one that brings people a lot of answers or clarity. You have the Page of Wands. Again, travel. Page of Wands is, an adventurer. He likes to go on adventures and explore things. I do feel, as I've been saying to you all year, that you're kind of getting back to your Sagittarius self. You're getting back to that, Sagittarius nature. And it's funny that you have the Knight of Wands with the Death card at the end. The two wanted to come out together. And here we are, talking about being reborn and kind of returning to yourself. And both of those cards would basically represent exactly that. So the Page of Wands wants you to be more enthusiastic and kind of excited for life. And, I feel it's time for you to feel excited, because it looks to me like there's excitement coming in for you. And that didn't work at all. So let's try that again. With the Emperor, you have the Empress. Damn, there you go. Definitely, we have a little bit of love here. We have the Ace of Cups as well. So if you're looking for love, you could be attracting an earth sign. Earth definitely stands out to me. Air, you have Libra right here. You have Virgo, Taurus. It could be any sign, general reading. But I do feel if you want love, could be love. I also like this because, personally, I really like the Emperor and the Empress coming up together, because it represents your masculine and feminine energies. And it, basically says that you're balanced. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Queen of Cups, which is great. Definitely, we are in a time where we have to follow our heart, plain and simple. Uranus is going to retrograde into Taurus in the middle of the month, and, we're not there yet, but we're close enough. And I would say that Uranus and Taurus, the easiest thing we can do is kind of live from our heart, or listen to our heart. There's a lot going on. It's not just that, but I kind of feel like Uranus and Taurus is the trigger, or it kind of started the trigger that wants us to do things that are more heart-based. And with the Empress, this would be about kind of nurturing the things that your heart cares about. And that's exactly what I would do. With the Page of Wands, you have the Ten of Cups. Yeah, I think all your readings lately have had a lot of these cards of happiness, or doing more things that make you feel happy. And I would definitely focus on that here, Sag, because Ten of Cups, they are choosing happiness. They are choosing to focus on these 10 cups up here and not what's going on down here in the real world. As I always say, this doesn't mean that you're ignoring issues or problems or challenges or anything like that, but it just means that you're directing your focus more towards what you want to see instead of the things you don't. And if you do that, your life can get better with the Ten of Cups. Ten of Cups is also like fortune after difficulty, and I definitely feel that you are like finally, it's like you're getting answers on your path, like I said, or your purpose or your karmic destiny, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's like you're understanding why things happened. Sometimes that can be important. Like, I don't really think that's important, but I'm a hard ass. I'm a cold-hearted Aquarius rising, right? So I really don't look for answers, but I do think for most people that are normal, that aren't like me, maybe they look for answers as to like why things happened in the past, or why things went down. And again, that can definitely set you free. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this expectations card. It says hoping, waiting, yearning, longing, contemplating, observing, patience, keep tabs, delay, taking time. And then you have this timing card that says time is important, not too late, divine timing, trust timing, there's no rush, be present, delays. So again, clearly you have the time that you necessary. I do feel, by the way, time is definitely speeding up. I don't know if anyone else has noticed it, but to me, my days go by in about 5 freaking minutes. It's like I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in an old folks home before I know it. Great. But again, I definitely seems to me like we're in a time where time is speeding up. And I feel like this could be making people feel like they're running out of time, but you're not. So don't rush, and I would take your time. You have the Seven of Pentacles, the Four of Cups, and the Eight of Swords. This is like a question. Sometimes I have a row in a reading, and I feel like it's asking you a question, like, should I change, is the question that I'm getting here. So some of you are wondering if something that you're doing in your life is worth it or not. Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? He's wondering if he should keep investing his time, effort, energy, attention in those Seven Pentacles, or if there's something better that he could be doing with his time. And I really can't answer that question for you, Sagittarius. You have to be the one to answer that question. And again, it's going to be different for all of you. Some of you, it's like maybe what you're working on is working, right? Which, obviously there's no reason to stop doing something that's working. If you're doing things that aren't working, those are the things that we want to change, or at least change the direction. I always say we're in a time of reinvention, right? We don't have to quit anything right now, really. There is some stuff, like definitely Pluto having gone from Capricorn to Aquarius definitely is the death of establishment. But really, I think the better energy to work with right now is upgrading. We're in a time of reinvention. So it's, you don't have to quit anything. You can just upgrade it or update it or redo it or go back to the drawing board, and, kind of reinvent things. I think it's also a great time to look at how things appear, right, as well. There's a lot of astrology now, and there's a lot of astrology coming up where I think how things appear is going to be more important than what you're actually doing necessarily, right? So it's like a good time to learn marketing, right, is what I tell people, because we have to stand out. Pluto and Aquarius, you have to be an inspiration. But that's the other thing, is you have to stand out for the right reasons. Again, old school marketing isn't going to work, because it's like, trying to manipulate people and trick people. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is getting attention for doing good things, right? With Pluto and Aquarius, Neptune and Pisces, even though, we only have a few more months of Neptune and Pisces, doesn't really matter. There you go. So, again, that's what I would be focusing on with the Seven of Pentacles, is kind of doing things in the right way. You have the Four Cups. Four Cups can represent feeling like you're not going to get what you want. He has these 3 cups in front of him, and he has this other cup right here, this 4th cup. And this card can sometimes say that you've tried to do something like at least 3 times before, and you're afraid of being disappointed again. Like I said with that very first card, it seems to me like you're getting the answers as to why things didn't work out. And we also have the Ace of Cups, which is a big ass cup right next to the Four of Cups. So, again, if you're getting an opportunity with the Emperor, to redo, reinvent, rebirth something in a new way, I would definitely be doing that, Sagittarius, because it looks to me like you're going to be very happy that you did. And again, there could be a little fear about the past. I think everybody has this going on right now. So, I would just let those fears go. You have the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords can be self-imposed restriction, feeling stuck or feeling trapped. And so I feel for a lot of you that, this is about needing to kind of realize that your limitations are in your mind, more or less, just like her limitations are in her mind. She has no swords in front of her, and, she feels like she's trapped, but really if she leaned up against those swords, she could cut her hands free, she could take her blindfold off, and she would realize that she's not trapped. So, the Eight of Swords is about realizing that you have many solutions to your problems, but I feel for you, Sagittarius, it's about like setting yourself free mentally, and that's what I would work on. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Sun. Pretty much the only thing you need to pay attention to is what makes you happy, literally, here, Sag. The Sun is like a spotlight in a reading. It shines a light on things that you need to pay attention to. And so the Sun wants you to pay attention to your attention. If there are things that bring you joy, happiness, peace, love, whatever, any good feeling, then, those are the things that you should be maybe working on or at least feeding. I always say with the Empress, we all we have to do is feed something. She is the nurturer in the tarot. We don't have to give something tons and tons of energy. But, again, if there are things that make us happy, that bring us joy, that bring us peace, even just giving like 10% more energy than you normally would to those things. Again, obviously we all have to live, we have to work to make money so we can live, although I don't know, who knows how much longer that's going to be a thing. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not for much longer, who knows. But what I would say is that for now we have to, but again, if you could just give those things a little bit more attention, it would probably change your life. With the Four of Cups, you have the Three of Pentacles. Could be love for some of you because Three of Pentacles is teamwork, obviously. And so when you're dating a person or with a person, it's obviously teamwork. Three of Pentacles is also about, kind of putting your work on display. And again, with Pluto and Aquarius, it's a great time to show off, put your work on display, put things out into the world. And, that's what I would do with the Three of Pentacles. With the Eight of Swords, you have the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is about options. Again, the Eight of Swords, there are many options that she has to solve her problem. So, Seven of Cups wants you to realize that you are spoiled for choice. You have a lot of options in how you can do things. Sometimes I think with the Seven of Cups, we need to get a little bit more focused because, there are pretty much good things and bad things in those cups. The guy on the card, he has a dream, but he's kind of thinking about the good things and the bad things that could happen. And, basically the Seven of Cups says, don't cheat yourself out of something that could be really good for you. I see this a lot with the Seven of Cups where it's like you have a dream and you just think to yourself, no, I shouldn't do that because this bad thing could happen. But it's like really like, sure, maybe that could happen, but also maybe not. And maybe something good could happen. So Seven of Cups, I think we can sometimes like lie to ourselves and, cheat ourselves out of something that could be really good for us. So if you're getting an opportunity this week with the Ace of Cups here, I would definitely take it. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this third house card. It says communication. You have this trine sextile card that says symbiosis on it. So again, I think that your communication is going to be important. It's Mercury retrograde. I think a lot of people say, oh, Mercury retrograde's bad for communication. That's kind of true, but also the opposite is true. It's very good for clear communication. So it's like, I think people think like, oh, it's Mercury retrograde, my communication is going to be messed up. It's like, yeah, sure. If you're not thinking about it, if you're not, would it be a good idea for you to, go start an argument with a person and not think about it first and just fly off the handle? No, terrible idea. But it would be a good idea to plan out a conversation and think about how to have it be productive, right? And to have an idea of what you're going to say going into a conversation, right? Mercury retrograde rewards that. So, again, I think it's your communication might be on fire not only this week but this month. If you kind of think before you speak, right? You have the Hermit, the Ace of Cups, and the Eight of Wands. Also, by the way, Sag, make sure to like and leave a comment. Really helps me out. But you have the Hermit. The Hermit is about needing to get out of hermit mode, I feel, for you at least. The whole first part of the reading really says to me that you've kind of like learned the lessons, or you've like completed some sort of karmic lesson or something. And it's like now it's time to come down from the mountain. He has to shine his inner light, and we see a ton of light in this reading already. We're only halfway clarified, but you have the Empress and the Sun. That is a lot of light showing up in the reading. So, clearly it's time to, put what makes you special on display. It's time to show off and, all those other good things. You have the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups can be your emotions overflowing, being very happy. So again, happiness seems to be very important for you this week. I do feel that some of you could be getting like a love offer from a person here. I do feel like saying like, I'm not telling you what to do here, Sag, but I would just say yes to it if you want it. Obviously, it's like, I don't know, what's popping into my head is like for years when I would answer questions, for the longest time, people like one after another, people would come to me and they would be like, this person asked me out, and I said no, and are they going to ask me out again? And I'd be like, why would they ask you out again? You said no. Like, what do you expect, right? It was like this disease that was going around for some reason, and where people would say no and then they would regret it. And like, you said no. No means no. So what do you expect? Right? So, don't play games is what I'm trying to get at here. Not that you would. I'm just throwing it out there. And that story popped in my head, so I have to say it. But, again, I think that you could be attracting someone who's very straightforward. I would be, I feel like I'm not telling you what to do, or anything like that. But, I feel this is like one of those things where this person is like very direct, very straightforward. Like if you're not sure, if you're not willing to set a date, which is fine. You don't have to, again, people always come at me when I say this shit. And I'm like, I'm not telling you what to do. You can do whatever the hell you want. You want to be alone? I'm working on chrisscatfood.com. I have all of the cat ladies and the cat men taken care of, right? Don't worry about it. So, I'll throw that out there right now. But what I will say is, again, if you do want someone, it's like I feel like if you're unsure, if you're acting unsure or something like that, I feel like this person's just going to leave. They're straightforward to the point. So I don't know. It's popping into my head. Don't shoot the messenger, right? All of you, again, I think focusing on happiness is going to be important. You have the Eight of Wands. This is like quick success or quick conclusion. Definitely seems to me like you're getting to the end of like some sort of karmic path, like that first card says. You've learned all the lessons and now you're moving forward, which is great. I love the Eight of Wands. It's one of my favorite cards in the deck. It's, kind of like quick movement, things speeding up, building momentum, all good things, right? And definitely communication. So there's probably communication coming in from a person. With the Hermit, you have the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles, again, change it right next to each other here. So I feel like it's going to be worth it for you to show off here, Sag, and is what this is basically saying. So, I think it would be a good time for you to like show off, show your skills. The Seven of Pentacles could be you thinking like, would it be worth it for me to accept this Four of Cups opportunity or not? Could be love, doesn't have to be. I do, like I said, I'm not telling anyone what to do, but I do think it would be worth it to approach this with confidence, right? I think if this could be a work offer or something like that. Like maybe your boss is like, hey, do you want these extra hours? And if you say like no or something, they might never ask again. And again, I'm not saying that you have to like commit to anything or anything like that, but I would, kind of approach something with confidence. With the Ace of Cups, you have the Hangman. Yeah, this definitely could be something you've been waiting for. So, that's definitely something to think about. The Hangman is also about looking at something from a different perspective. He's obviously hanging upside down. And so he's looking at something from a different point of view. And maybe that's what you have to do. It's like maybe you should just say yes to a person, and you can always say no later if you regret it. So, this could be about gathering information, but what I would say is I don't think you would say no later. You might actually learn a lot more. The Hangman is also another card of light. His head is glowing. He's gained enlightenment. So definitely a reading that's saying you're getting answers. With the Eight of Wands, you have the Four of Swords. Four of Swords like resting, relaxing, recovering, and healing. So, Four of Swords comes up every single Mercury retrograde. It's an amazing time to rest, relax, recover, heal, all that other good stuff. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have the swimming card. It says subconscious, emotions, deep feelings. You have this question card. It's funny that the second row was like a question. It says surroundings, guides, and circumstances. So, again, you might have a lot of questions at this time. Not only this week, I feel like the entire month. So it might be a good month for you to be, like, curious. That card says subconscious, so it might be a good time for you to just, like, meditate, explore your subconscious, write down your dreams, things like that. You have the Justice card, the Death card, the Knight of Wands, and the King of Pentacles. Justice is like cause and effect, and I do feel this year and next year are going to, really important time to pay attention to what's working and what's not working. I think people don't realize, like, we've entered into a new world, basically, and so, we have to learn, we are all learning new things that work, basically. And so I would be paying attention to cause and effect with that card. Next, like I said, this pretty much sums up the reading right here. The Death card with the Knight of Wands. You're going through a change. You're becoming more of your Sagittarius self is really what I said earlier on these two cards, and that's kind of what I feel. The Knight of Wands is very spontaneous. I do think that there could be, like, and maybe this is why I feel the whole, like, needing to say yes to something. Again, I'm not telling you to say yes if you don't really want to do something or whatever. That's not what I'm trying to say. But, it's like the Knight of Wands, an opportunity can come out of nowhere, and it might kind of, like, throw you off a little bit, and maybe that's why I feel like I need to say this, because, again, I kind of intuitively feel that it might be a spontaneous opportunity that could change your life with the Death card, but it might kind of catch you off guard or something like that. So I feel here I am. I'm telling you about this so that you can be ready when this opportunity appears, and I would just pay attention. You have the King of Pentacles. King of Pentacles is stability, financial stability, wealth building. It seems to be an amazing month for wealth building. All the November readings, the monthly readings I did, were amazing for money. All the readings I've done this week have been really good for money. I did not expect this. I still, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I still think the end of this year, the beginning of next year, are a little bit of a mess as far as finances are concerned. But that could be globally. That might not be personally. We might actually be able to find some better opportunities, or we might be able to find ways of saving money or making more money. And I would definitely learn. Like, I think it's an amazing time to learn about finances, especially Uranus retrograding into Taurus. Uranus and Taurus wants us to have, like, long-term security. So anything you can learn about that would be excellent for you right now, Sag, and everybody else. With the Justice card, you have the Justice card, a bunch of repeating cards at the top here. So like I said, Justice wants you to pay attention to cause and effect for sure. With the Death card and the Knight of Wands, yes, Two of Swords is like there's something you don't see. Again, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you get any random spontaneous opportunities, a random person asks you out, your boss asks you to do something random, you might want to just say yes, and you can always say no later, right? The Two of Swords, she thinks something is going to go this way or that way, but really it's going to go this way, over here, on this island. So, this card is my card of third place solutions. It basically says, something is not going to go as expected, but showing up in the good stuff. So this could be a good thing. With the King of Pentacles, here you go. You have the Lovers. So, exactly like I said. The thing about the King of Pentacles that I will say is that they can be a little bit, or, it's like when you first meet a King of Pentacles, they can kind of come off as boring or not exciting or something like that. But it might not be true. That might be like your first impression, and it might be wrong. Next, you have this December card. I always clarify these monthly cards. You have this Well. It says family wishes come true. So we're almost in December, believe it or not. I can't believe it. Again, there could be some sort of family event or happiness in the family coming in. You have this Bridge card. It says successfully overcoming a problem. Yes, the Temple of the Soul card that says you're on a karmic path, so you can unravel the mysteries of your karmic debts. Again, I think you're finally coming to the end of this, whatever you want to call it, karmic path or whatever. You have this Owl. It says good advice from a wise person. Yeah, we're in the time of the mentor. I say this all the time. For the next few years, it's an amazing time to, create your tribe of mentors even. These people, they don't have to be people you even know. I think it's just good to go find people to follow, to listen to learn from. And they can be from books that you read, from YouTube videos you watch, whatever. But I encourage everyone to do this right now. You have this horse. It says short journey on it. Yeah, like I said, I think you have that travel card. Some of you definitely could be traveling. You have this March card, March the month, in this hand. It says in need of help, assistance, or guidance. Yep, March is going to be a big month next year because we will officially have Saturn and Neptune moving back into Aries by the end of February. And, what I would say is, March just seems to be an important month. I think January is a really important month as well. But, again, between now and then, don't be afraid of asking for help. But this looks pretty good here, Sag. I like this a lot. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.